This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome into another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. It's finally week 4, the Brady matchup. Brady returns to Foxborough along with Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, all those guys. But big week. Guy who was here with us for 20 years, brought us so many Super Bowls, so many championships, so many great memories. Returns to Foxborough, returns to Gillette, this time in a different uniform. I'm here with my co-host, Jace Gamble. How's it going, Jace?
Are us Patriots fans sure we're ready to witness what we're about to witness?
I'm absolutely not. I'm definitely not ready.
You said it perfectly, where we are all still Patriots fans, but the emotional aspect of Brady stepping on the field in a different jersey on the opposing sideline, coming through a different locker room, I just don't know how. I mean, it's going to be a tough thing. And it's not just Brady either. It's Gronk, who was a fan favorite, even though he was only here for, half the time Brady was, but a fan favorite, brought us 3 Super Bowls, his personality. It's going to be a difficult game, not only on the field for the, us to watch personally, in my opinion, but just the emotional aspect that ties to it. 2 guys that really built the Patriots organization, in my opinion, now dressed up as we're battling against them. So it's going to be a tough week for a lot of Patriots fans, but yes, I'm ready to watch. I'm ready to see it.
I will say, for the first time in a while, since the first week or 2 after Brady left and first time seeing him on the field in the different uniform, watching that promotional video and watching all the different videos I've seen, all the sad stuff, it did hit me a little bit this week, harder than it has in a while. And it was kind of damn, he should be here with us in a Pats uniform still. And he could have played with us 4 or 5 more years. And so, I mean, it sucks, but hey, you got to move on. He's gone. He's not coming back. It's over, but it's going to be an emotional roller coaster that I don't think I'm going to know how I'm going to feel until I feel it on Sunday night. So it's going to suck. It's not going to be fun for me seeing him play against us in a different uniform, possibly tearing us up. We'll see. But yeah, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. We'll see how it goes on Sunday night.
Yeah. And I was listening to a podcast that Brady was in with John Gray on Fox Sports, and it was hard listening to it. He's got a lot to say, and he's professional about it. He's like, yeah, I'm going there to win a game, and I'll have all this stuff afterwards. But it's going to be emotional for Brady too, no matter what it was, whatever stories are true about how he left and the relationship with him and Bill and stuff. Same fans, the team, the organization that gave him the chance in the 6th round and that he helped. So it's going to be tough for him and Gronk too, also. But they're going to be professional about it. They're going to go out there. I know that they want it. I know the Patriots want it too. So it's going to be a fun battle.
One thing LeBron said the other night, I don't know if you saw this on the Monday Night Mannings thing. They had LeBron James on, and he said his first time going back to Cleveland after he left when he went to Miami, he said that he'll never forget that day. He named out the date, the time, all that stuff. And he was like, I didn't sleep at all the night before. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't sleep at all. And then LeBron said he went out and dominated them and put on a performance, and they won. So hopefully that part doesn't happen, but you got to wonder how that's going to affect Brady. It's a big game. Not only Brady, but Bill, Gronk. I wonder how it's going to affect these guys. And if it is, I'm sure it's already extra motivation, extra film study, all that stuff, all this experience, all the different emotions that are going to be part of this game. But you got to wonder if it's going to affect Brady at all. I mean, he's been in so many big games and he's been through everything. This is the one thing he's never been through before. And he's talked about how it is going to be weird. So I don't think it's going to last long. I think maybe you see the first quarter, he's a little bit, feeling the emotion still. But I think pretty soon, he's a professional. He's done this so long. He's going to be locked in and ready to go. But I do wonder how much it is going to affect him.
Yeah, he's been in enough big time games. He knows how to tune it out. But he will have, it's just like any game, just a little bit, different circumstances. He's going to be excited to go out there. It's a primetime game, but he's going to be against his former team and stuff. So there's going to be that little extra motivation and, nerve to him. So let's get right into it, though. The Patriots will be facing the Bucs on Sunday night. Football this week. Going to be a good game. I think that New England's going to hang with them for a minute and, hopefully give them a game, because that's ultimately what we want to see as Patriots fans, is at least compete, right? For a little bit, get out there and compete, show the fans and show yourselves that you can compete with one of the top, 5 teams in the National Football League. So what are you looking forward to in this week 4 matchup?
A lot of things, honestly. I think it's a big measuring stick for this football team. If you think about it and you look back at every game we've played so far this season, our first 3 games, we've not played one complete good football game. This team has not played a good game yet, regardless of the score of the Jets game. I mean, we got the ball 4 times. Zach Wilson handed us the football, and we couldn't convert on it. We kept kicking field goals, couldn't make it in the red zone, couldn't run the ball still on that. It's just this team has not played a complete football game, all 3 phases synchronized together and haven't played complementary football. So I'm looking forward to seeing if we can do that this week, because that's what it's going to take. If this team plays their best football, plays complementary football, all 3 phases are working together in synchronization, I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. And I just want to see this team, even if we don't win this football game, I want to see this team compete, because it's a big measuring stick. Defending champs, one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL. Bill said it today. If this football team, if we hang around with the Bucs, I mean, I'm going to be happy with that result. Even if we lose, even if as long as it's a close game, I'll be happy. But I'm looking to see us get rid of a lot of the mental errors, a lot of the, penalties. So last week when Taysom Hill. Yeah, on that Taysom Hill run in the end zone late in the game in the fourth quarter, we had 10 men on the field. That happened multiple times throughout the game. So stuff like that can't happen. That's bad coaching. That's bad communication. We gotta figure that stuff out. We can't have 10 men on the field in a crucial situation on the goal line in the fourth quarter of a football game. We got to figure that stuff out. Penalties, special teams has to be better. All the stuff we talked about, trying to play mistake-free football, not shooting ourselves in the foot, being able to run the ball effectively, and hopefully, depending on the health of Trent Brown, we'll get a key offensive lineman back this week. And I think that should help a lot with the communication and the offensive line, picking different blitz schemes and all that stuff, picking that up better and protecting Mack. But Bucs have some great linebackers, some great edge rushers, defensive tackles. It's going to be hard to run the ball on them, and it's going to be hard to stop them from putting Mack on his butt again. So I want to see more consistency from this team, and just to see us hang with them and see what kind of fight this team's got, because going 1-3 to start the year is not going to be great. And Devin McCourty's talked about, Matthew Slater's talked about as well, urgency. This team needs to pick it up. We're about to be 4 games into the season, and starting out 1-3 is not ideal if you're trying to make a playoff push. So I just want to see some consistency and see this team play a full game, all 4 quarters of complementary good football.
Yeah, the Bucs come into this game averaging about a little over 34 points per game. They have 103 total points in the 3 weeks. That's top in the league, tied with Arizona. We all know it's a high-powered offense. They're going to come in, especially with the storylines coming, the struggles they had last week against the Rams and that very good defense that they have over there in LA. They're going to want to prove a point. I'm pretty sure Antonio Brown will be back off of the COVID list. Gronk looked a little shaken up, but he'll be playing. Like, this is as much of a night for Gronk as it is for Brady too. Homecoming for both of them. So he'll be playing. They're going to have all their weapons, man. This is going to be an offensive barrage by them. They're going to come out. No Stephon Gilmore. They're going to try to throw the ball. They're going to try to get Brady going at his night. So yeah, it's going to be fun for a lot of storylines. I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to see Trent Brown's return. Like you mentioned, they have some good pass rushers. Shaquille Barrett, Vita Vea is going to be on the inside. That will be a good test for our interior offensive linemen. And then their rookie. And Ndamukong Suh, Joe Tyrone. I mean, the linebackers, Devin White, Levante David, like, they just have dudes all along their front 7. It's going to be a good battle for what I think has been a very struggling part of our offense, which is the offensive line, like you hit on last week. So it's going to be a big test. It sucks that our offensive line hasn't been playing much better, but they got to step up in prime time. They got to step up, protect Mack if we want any chance of winning this game.
Yeah, it's a big prove-it game for that offensive line group. I mean, you got to think their pride's been hurt a little bit from the performances they've put on these first 3 games. I mean, Mack has been just taking a million hits. We talked about it this past Sunday night after the game. They haven't been doing good enough in the run game, in the pass blocking game. They haven't been good enough. And this team is going to be this team's going to go as far as this defense and this offensive line takes them, because best thing for a rookie quarterback, like we talked about, good offensive line, getting time in the pocket and having some pieces around him. And he's got both those things on good days, but we haven't seen the offensive line have good days. Good news is weapons. When I looked at the film a little bit, they were getting open. They were creating separation. So it's not like the same issue we had last year. So I think if we can get this offensive line fixed up, this offense is going to look a lot better quickly. When Mack has time, he's been great. He's been really, really great for a rookie quarterback. He's been hitting guys on time, on target, throwing it right where it needs to be, where only his guy can get it. He's been phenomenal. So it's a big prove it game for this offensive line. If they do well and hold up well, if we can run the football a little bit and they only allow 3 to 5 pressures or something like that compared to their 11 to like 15 it was last week, that's going to be big for their confidence. And they're going to be like, okay, we can do this against one of the best fronts in the NFL. Next week against the Texans, we should absolutely dominate them. Next week against the Cowboys, we should dominate them. So I think it's going to be a big confidence builder for this offensive line. They need this. We need this bad as a team in general to compete this game and really start to get things synchronized and start to get people building more chemistry and working together well. Also, last thing is Mac Jones. I don't think there's a better test for this kid of, hey, can you handle the pressure? Week 4, hyped up to be one of the biggest regular season games of all time. Tom Brady back to Gillette after 20 years with the Patriots. Rookie filling the shoes of Tom Brady. He's playing him head to head. Pats Bucs, week 4 at home, Sunday Night Football. Everyone in the world is going to be watching. Let's see what this kid can do. Let's see how he holds up. And I think that's going to be a big test. And I'm excited to see. I mean, Mac has played in a lot of big games, national championship, all that stuff, but there's no game bigger than this game he's going to play in today, or not today, Sunday.
Yeah, and no greater opponent either. Super Bowl champs, defending Super Bowl champs, the greatest quarterback of all time, returning home. It's gonna be crazy. I like this comment here. Bill has a plan, just like how he stopped the unstoppable Rams offense to 3 points in 2019. Trust. I agree. And I think that Bill is going to have a game plan. That's kind of what they mentioned in the podcast to Brady is you've practiced against these guys. You know the system. You know what they're going to throw at you. So on the other side, Brady's going to know everything too. And I don't know who you give the upper hand to because I'm a huge Brady fan. And I think Bill will have a great scheme, but how do our guys go out and execute it? We've looked a little shaky at times. We couldn't really lock down a true number one receiver. Well, I mean, I'm trying to say New Orleans didn't have a true number one receiver, and we couldn't lock one down last week. I mean, they had guys all over the field catching balls on 3rd and 9 that I thought we should have been more aggressive on. And now you're having arguably 3 number one receivers and arguably one of the greatest tight ends of all time with Gronk coming. So yeah, I agree. Bill is going to have a plan to shut him down. He's not going to let Brady come in here and the Bucs and humiliate him on his home field after they've lost 2 straight home games. They're 1-2. It's on primetime TV. I mean, Bill's going to have a plan. I just don't know how well the team is going to be able to execute it, and that's what we'll be able to see. That's another thing I'm excited to see is this defensive secondary going up against all these weapons that Tampa Bay has.
Yeah, and in that, I mean, that question that you just kind of brought up, I give the advantage in that aspect to Brady because Brady's the guy who's on the football field and he can control how he performs. Bill can't control how our defensive players perform. He can put them in the right position. He can tell them exactly what to do, but if they don't go out there and execute, it's not going to mean anything. Also, Brady has Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski. He's loaded with weapons over there. Bill Belichick doesn't have the same necessarily weapons in that secondary. Stephon Gilmore's out. We still got J.C. Jackson, Jonathan Jones. I mean, Jalen Mills has been solid so far. He's let up a couple key big plays, which isn't great. But if Bill's defense was as stacked as Tom's offense and it was even playing ground, I'd be really, really curious to see how this would play out because I think Belichick wants this game just as bad as Tom wants it. And I'd love to see how it plays out. But I do think the Bucs with this offense, they brought back all the same players. It's not new players, not a new scheme for these guys. They had it for a whole year last year. They brought back everybody. So they're used to playing with Tom and in this system they got a year under their belt. We got a lot of new guys on this defense side of the ball. Half the starting defense wasn't playing last year, probably more than half. So that's a lot of new guys. It's only their 4th game together. So I don't know how many crazy things we're going to be able to execute correctly. We'll see about that. I do think Bill's going to have a plan, and I can't wait to see what it is. I hope he locks him down. I hope we hold the Bucs to under 20 points, because that's probably what we'll need to do to win this football game. But it's going to be tough to stop those weapons, especially with Antonio Brown coming back to practice tomorrow. It's going to be tough. I think whoever Jalen Mills is covering, if we play man-to-man at all, whoever Jalen Mills is covering, Tom Brady is going to attack and just try to expose him. I mean, if he's covering Antonio Brown, that's not a great matchup for us. We're probably going to play a decent amount of zone coverage, maybe. I know Tom eats up zone. He eats up man even more. It's going to be tough just with the pieces we have. We're going to have to get pressure on Tom with rushing 4 guys, 5 guys maybe, but Tom eats up the blitz, and he loves big plays. So we're going to have to get pressure. This defensive line is going to have to do what they're paid to do and get pressure on him, get pressure up the middle of the pocket, force Tom to not be able to step up in the pocket and feel comfortable. We got to do that all day. So I'm excited to see the game plan Bill has, because it's going to be a tough game. But I mean, he's a defensive mastermind, one of the best to ever do it, the best to ever do it. So it's going to be exciting to watch.
And the thing that scares me is we all know what Brady's known for, and that's getting the ball out quick. And I think the only way that we have a chance is if we heat Brady up. And I just don't see how we can do that, because according to Pro Football Focus, the Bucs have the 3rd or the 6th best offensive line in pass blocking. So they're top 3rd of the league, if not top, way higher than that of the league. And Brady's getting the ball out in under 2 seconds or under 3 seconds, like 2.5, 2.6 at times. It's one of the fastest in the league still, and he's 44 years old. So that has a little bit of concern for me too, is we all know it. Brady is going to take what you give him. He's kind of similar to Mac Jones, where if he sees it, he doesn't care if the running back's 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He's going to throw it to him and let his guy make a play. He's going to make the right read. I don't think that there's going to be any deceiving Tom Brady. There might be one play where Bill gets him, but you're not just going to see Brady go out there like we saw Zach Wilson and just be absolutely like confused and not know what he's doing. He played in this system for 20 years. He's going to see it all. He's seen everything from every other coach, every other team. He's going to get the ball out quick. It's a scary matchup. Everything that we loved watching Brady do, he's about to do to us. So
exactly. Real quick, this comment, I want to get your thoughts on this. If the Pats win in dominant fashion, probably not. Does that change any of the debate between Bill and Brady?
In my mind, no. Just because it comes down to the fact, and I think that both of them are the greatest of all time at what they do. I think Bill's the greatest coach of all time, and I think Brady's the greatest player of all time. But what it comes down to is Brady is on the field and he's doing, and Bill is, building a team, and they have to do it. And I think that Brady has proven that he can do it. And I don't think one game is going to justify what Brady did for the Bucs last year. What Brady did when he walked into that Bucs organization was he had no OTAs, he had no training camp, he had no preseason, and you see them. They struggle at first, and just like Brady has always done, they get it together after their bye week and they win 8 straight and they win the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. And they go through Breeze, Rodgers, Mahomes, like teams that people are like, they're not going to beat them.
Heineke.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. The greatest one, my bad. Right? He goes through 3, and who knows Pat Mahomes yet, but you could say 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, at least 2. And Mahomes is probably going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. It's just super early still in his career, but he might already have gotten that. But 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks on the road, except for the Super Bowl, obviously, which is at home, and he wins it. So, no, I don't think that if New England comes out and wins, that this changes the debate. I still think it's close. I don't know how you can say one is above the other right now, because Bill has been given horrible circumstances. You outlined it perfectly last episode, losing his franchise quarterback, not having very many weapons on both sides of the ball, tons of opt-outs last year, a quarterback that comes in and has a month, maybe less, to prepare for the playbook. It was just bad circumstances. And this year you have a bunch of new guys. So no, I don't think it changes the narrative. I still think it would make it very interesting, and there will be a lot of talk about it, but I just don't think it changes it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if this team does beat the Bucs, I think it adds a little bit in Bill's favor, but not much, just because the Tampa Bay Bucs team is supposed to beat this Patriots team. And if they don't, and we win in a dominant fashion, that's not a great look. I mean, this Bucs team is stacked, has a way better roster than we have. We just have, that would mean we have better coaching and just executed the game plan better. So I think it would be a little bit in Bill's favor in that aspect, but I don't think it changed anything much. And just I can already see the storylines. What's gonna frustrate me so much is seeing after this game, if we lose this football game, Monday morning on every news station, ESPN, all this stuff. Oh, would you look at that? Brady's got a Super Bowl and a head-to-head victory over Belichick. He's the great. I mean, he obviously wins the Brady Bill debate. It's over. No, dude, it's been 1 year. Brady went to a perfect situation. He has a stacked offense, a stacked defense. This team was ready to win a Super Bowl. They were missing was a quarterback. It's like if Bill Belichick said, "Oh, I'm going to go to the Chiefs." Like I think we've talked about this before. "Oh, I'm going to go to let's see, the Chiefs or the Packers or the Rams right now or whoever." You know what I mean? That's hey, I'm picking this easy situation. They just need a coach and I'm going to take them to the Super Bowl. I mean, Bill didn't do that. Tom did that and left us with no money, no franchise quarterback, and a lack of weapons. I mean, it's a rebuilding process. When you lose a franchise quarterback, how many teams have been looking for their franchise quarterback for years? I mean, the Bears multiple times, the Jets forever. You know what I mean? So it takes time. You can't take 1 to 2 years and say, hey, Brady went to a stacked team, but hey, he won the Bill versus Tom debate. It was more Tom than Bill. No, you can't say that. If you really wanted to test that out, you'd have to put Tom Brady on the same exact roster, see how he does, and then take him out, put a different quarterback in, and say, hey, Bill, go ahead. Let's see how you do compared to how Tom did. But that can't happen. That's just not possible. So I'm not ready to say much about the Bill versus Tom debate until 5 to 7 years after Tom left, because that's when we're going to say, okay, Bill, you've had your chance now, 5 to 7 years. Let's see how he's done without Tom, and let's see how Tom's done without Bill. So I don't think it changes much, but that's just my opinion. How's it going? Gabe Pats? You got Jace, you got any 3-time any score for Sunday's games for him to parlay on?
Yeah, so if I had to bet, one of them's going to be Gronk. And I think Bill's going to try to take away Gronk in very creative ways, but I don't know how that is. Do you see any of our linebackers being able to guard Gronk? I don't know. It's hard. If I had to bet, it would be Gronk. And then I'm going to go with Chris Godwin. Godwin's another tough one. He's going to be a slot guy. I think Jonathan Jones will do a good job, but I don't think that the Patriots are going to zero in on shutting down Chris Godwin. I think that it will be Mike Evans or Antonio Brown before Chris Godwin. And Chris Godwin's a very capable receiver. And if I had to do one for the Patriots, throw a third one in there for the Patriots, I'm going to go Nelson Aguilar. These cornerbacks for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have struggled a little bit in man coverage. And I think Nelson Aguilar is going to have a chance at hitting a deep ball. And we haven't hit one yet. It's about time we hit one in primetime at Gillette Stadium, get the crowd going. So I'm going to take Nelson Aguilar for the Patriots, and then I'm going to go with Godwin and Gronk for the Bucs. What about you?
Yep, I like those. I think the only thing is that I feel like Belichick is going to want Gronk to be the absolute last person who scores a touchdown on that team. Yeah. But I don't know if we'll have enough firepower to stop all these weapons. So I feel like AB might be one just because he's probably going to be the guy who's on Jalen Mills. That's a tough matchup for Jalen Mills. I think AB could be one. I think Gronk could be one. I mean, it's tough. They got so many guys who can score the football. Chris Godwin, obviously, like you said, Mike Evans.
I have a feeling that the Bucs, as much as Belichick doesn't want Gronk to score, Brady and Gronk want Gronk to score. I would not be surprised if the first touchdown is Gronk from the Bucs, because I guarantee they have a play drawn up that Brady knows they're going to get a certain coverage and they're going to get Gronk open somehow. It's going to be creative. It's going to be something. I feel like that. What more on a primetime game? Think of it. Bucs get the ball. What more on a primetime game is it? They go marching down the field and then they score, and Pats fans have to watch Brady and Gronk spike the ball in the end zone where they freaking were doing it for 8-9 years. I just feel like that Gronk is a very safe one just because of the Bucs, and they're going to want to get those two going. And, kind of, I know that they're playing down the whole thing like, oh, we're not going to New England for a revenge tour. We're going there to win a football game. But come on, they're thinking about it too. So
can you put Brady?
Yeah, you could. A quarterback sneak for sure.
Oh, okay, but like a passing touchdown doesn't count as a touchdown for him, right?
I don't think so. You'd have to ask Gabe on that one, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
All right. So yeah, I'd say Gabe. I think Jace's picks are great. I'd say Gronk, maybe Gronk, AB, and I don't know. I don't know who would for us, honestly. I don't think we're gonna have a great running game.
Yeah. And AB might be another one too, where Brady wants to get going because everyone knows the circumstances. And with
Yeah.
AB, even though it was only one game, I mean, there was still kind of some hard feelings. I know Brady wanted him and stuff. So that might be another thing too, where they're scouting and they're saying, hey, if we get Jalen Mills on him, let's take a deep shot, first play of the game or something and get him going. So
Yeah, because
yeah,
I mean, you
AB
heard all
could
the
be a very
stories.
safe one.
You
Yep.
heard all the stories about Brady was pissed that we cut AB, even though all that scenario is going on. So maybe I'd say AB, Gronk, and Damian Harris, I guess. I don't know. I don't feel great about it. I don't feel great
Yeah.
about that one. They have so many weapons that they could spread the ball to and who could score, Gabe. So I just if it was me, I wouldn't bet on that, but I'd be curious to see what he thinks about that. But I want to touch on this comment as well. Defense wins championships. Brady didn't control those defenses. Bill did, so they are equal. I just you look at that Rams Super Bowl, Belichick dominated in that game, held them to 3 points, had a phenomenal, perfect game plan to hold that Rams team who was kind of getting going, and they were, I mean, obviously they were in the Super Bowl, they were doing well, held that team to 3 points on defense. That's one that's on Bill. Hey, that's kind of give the credit to him on that one. I will say also, Brady put up 505 passing yards in the Eagles Super Bowl, and we couldn't hold the Eagles to under 40 points. So it's like that one you'd kind of give to Tom probably. He had a great performance. We didn't have the defense to do it. We sat Malcolm Butler, all that stuff. So it goes both ways, but also early on, Brady wasn't winning those Super Bowls. Our defenses were winning those Super Bowls early. You know what I mean? And Vinatieri, we had a great kicker. So it's just tough. They're both so good at what they do. It's impossible for me to say who's more responsible for it. But yeah, it's a tough debate. But I think we're going to need 5 to 10 years to really have enough evidence to say, yep, this is who has the upper hand. But they're both still the GOAT. It's just that's not what TV is going to do. They're going to say, hey, we need storylines now. We need storylines now. So, hey, Brady, he won. He's the GOAT. You know what I mean? It was more him than. So that's what they're going to say on TV. It's going to frustrate me. It's going to piss me off a little bit, but that's how it is. It's headlines. It's storylines. I need something to get clicks and to talk about. So that's my stance on it.
And without Brady, do we come back against Atlanta?
Probably not. That's one of those games where it's, hey, Bill, great defensive game plan from that third quarter on and holding them, and Hightower made the strip sack, all that stuff, but also Brady. I mean, he went down the field and ice in his veins, overtime, the last couple of times, 2-point conversions, 2 in a row, doing that. I mean, that's Brady. That's GOAT stuff. That's GOAT stuff for Bill too. That game plan in the second half. Brady also threw a pick 6, but Bill wasn't perfect in the first half either. He let up his defense let up 28 points. So they're both responsible for the success. I don't think if you separate them and put them in the same situation right now, I don't think that we get 6 Super Bowls. Maybe they each get 3 or 4 on their own. It's tough. They both benefited from each other, and they're both extremely successful, and they do what they do at such a high level above everybody else that they're both the GOAT. And I mean, that's why the 20 years of dominance occurred, because they're both so good at what they do. So I don't have a stance on who's better and who's more responsible for the success yet. We need much more time to determine that.
Yeah, and I was gonna just comment one more thing on the defense wins championships. I think that the defense wins championships narrative is still very true. You have to have a good defense, like the Bucs
last year.
Yeah, they had a great defense, but just go look at college football alone, and even look at the NFL. Other than the Patriots Super Bowl, you're not going to find a team that wins the Super Bowl that doesn't average over 28 points a game, probably. You're just not, with the RPO games, with the athletes that they're having, you're just not finding teams that don't score over 28 points winning college football games or NFL games. I mean, look at the Patriots offense that has struggled in their last couple games. If New England could have scored 28 games against the Saints, or 28 points against the Saints, we win. I mean, if we could have scored, we scored 25, but we struggled. If we could have scored more against the Dolphins too, we win. And yeah, we have a great defense, but you're not going to beat the upper echelon of teams without scoring 28 points in the game. So yes, although I do agree you have to have a great defense to win a championship, that's a piece of it. I just feel like the narrative of football in general is flipping from defense wins championships to now, okay, can our offense, or can our defense create a turnover to get an extra possession so our offense can score 35 and they score 31 and we win by a field goal or however it works. Like the high-powered offenses you see nowadays is a lot more than what you saw even 10 years ago. It used to be very defense heavy, right? And just look at the calls that you're getting. You're getting more pass interferences, more targetings, more holdings. Like this is an offensive centered game all of a sudden. The last 5 years, all the rules they put in is an offensive centered game. So yeah, the defense won championships early in Brady's career. I mean, yeah, there's an argument for that to be said. But late in his career, I mean, Brady was doing everything that he could too. I don't think that they come back and beat the Falcons without him. Maybe not even they come back from the 10 points against the Seahawks. Yeah, Malcolm Butler made the interception, but maybe they're not even in that spot in the first place. And then obviously throwing for 505 yards and losing the Super Bowl is never a good thing. I'm pretty sure he still to this day holds the record for most passing yards in a Super Bowl, and they lost it. So yeah, I mean, defense is a very important part, but man, look at the Chiefs, man. They haven't had a very good defense the last couple of years, and they've been blowing guys out. So they do enough on offense to put pressure on the defense or on the other team's offense and make them make mistakes. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you have an offense that's good enough to score every time you get the ball, you're not going to lose football games.
Yep.
That's how it is nowadays. That's why the Chiefs have had success, is because their offense is so dominant and their defense makes just enough plays to let them win football games because they score so often. Like you just kind of mentioned, if you hold a team like we held Miami to 17 points in an NFL football game in this era, you expect you win that game 99 out of 100 times. That's just, I mean, that's most 31 out of the 32 teams play that way. We're one of the few that play more defensive-minded football, lower scoring games, just because of the pieces we have right now. And we don't have the most talented group together. We just got a lot of pieces. They're brand new. It's going to take time to mesh, but that's the style of football that we're kind of playing right now. And if we can hold teams to under 14 to 17 points, well, we should win football games, but that's hard to do in this day and age. We're going to have to put more points on the board. That's the bottom line. You got to score points to win football games. Defense is huge. But, I mean, like you mentioned with the Chiefs, the 49ers had a much better defense than the Chiefs, but they didn't win that football game. They should have. They made mistakes. They missed a couple throws on offense, but that's the thing. You miss those throws on offense, you miss scoring opportunities, you're not going to win football games. So I think it's a balance of both in this day and age. In the early 2000s, I think defense wins championships was much more of a thing.
Yes.
But now it's kind of leaning towards, hey, all these explosive offenses, you got to have a good enough offense to keep up with these high scoring offenses. And you got to have a good enough defense to be able to put pressure on the quarterback and create turnovers when you get the opportunity to. You can't drop interceptions. You can't do stuff like that. You got to convert when you have the opportunity to get a turnover. So that's kind of my stance on that as well.
100% agree. Well, let's get into it. Big storyline, obviously, Bucs Patriots, the other alternative storyline, the old and the new. Brady did such good things for us. Great things for us here in New England. Now he's on the other side, and then we're in with a rookie quarterback. But Mac Jones completing 67.5% of his passes, 737 yards, 2 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. And then Brady coming out of the gates very hot, kind of cooled down last week, but 68.8% completion percentage, already over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. So what do you look for in this quarterback battle?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tom's probably going to do his thing. Like we talked about, the defense needs to get pressure on him. That's going to be the bottom line. If we can put pressure on Tom consistently, we have a chance. But that's going to be the tough part. They got a great offensive line. Tom has seen every defense in the book, every pressure scheme, all that different stuff. So he's going to know what's coming a lot of time. We're going to have to spin the die. We're going to have to do different things, mix it up, and try to get pressure on him with 4 to 5 guys consistently. Because if we can't do that, we have no chance in this football game. That's as simple as that. We have to put pressure on Tom, collapse the pocket, get pressure up the middle with our interior rush guys. So, I mean, a guy like Christian Barmore, who's great at rushing from the inside. I think if he has a big game, that's going to help our chances a lot. If he has a lot of success with pressure up the middle, if we're spinning different things and we have a linebacker like those X stunts that the Saints did on us last game, if we do some of those X stunts and different stuff like that, different blitz schemes, mix it up, but send 4 to 5 for pressure so we still have enough on the back end to try to contain all those weapons. That's going to be big for us. So that's kind of what I'm looking for from Tom's side. I think he's gonna do his thing. I think he's gonna want to have success this game better than any other game. And I mean, in his career, he's going to be extremely motivated to win this football game. But that's what we need to do if we want to have any success at containing him. And for Mac Jones, we need to protect this kid. If we give him time in the pocket, this Bucs defense hasn't been as good as it was last year. It struggled a little bit against a couple teams. I mean, the Cowboys have a great offense. Rams have great offense. I know that, but if we can give Mac time to read the defense, he has not shown us yet that with time, he's shown us that with time, he can make the right decision, make great throws, and move us down the football field. He just hasn't consistently got time. So this offensive line, it's a big game for them. They need to step up. They need to give this kid time, and we need to establish some sort of run game. I know we're probably not going to have much success against this defensive line, but if we can establish the run game and have even half the pressures the Saints had, it gives us a much better chance to win this football game.
Yeah, and Brady's going to get his. I mean, Brady's leading the league in touchdowns, second in passing yards. He's not getting pressured a ton. He has the second most passes completed past 20 plus yards. So, I mean, he's going to get his. Expect his. We're not going to come in and shut him out. Like, I just don't feel like there's limiting Tom Brady. There's really not. So he's going to come in. He's going to get his. The thing I want to see is, and it's what you hit on earlier in the show, is how does Mac Jones respond to that? Brady comes down and gets a drive right down the field and scores a touchdown. What does Mac Jones do? Does he come out and does he panic and try to force things, try to be bigger than the moment and not stay within himself and throw interceptions? Is he, making the wrong reads and getting taken away by the moment? So for me, Brady's going to do him. Well, he's done it for 22 years. He did it 20 in New England. He's done it 1 year in Tampa Bay, and he's in his second year with them. You know what Tom Brady's all about. But for me, it's really about how does Mac Jones respond and how does he live up to this moment and how does he, stay neck and neck. I don't know if anyone expects Mac Jones to come in and outperform him because of the offensive weapons we have, number one, and just because of him being a rookie quarterback and stuff. I mean, but how does he come in? Is he composed like he's been all 3 games? Is he stepping up in the pocket? Is he making accurate throws? Is he, not making dumb throws and not turning the ball over willingly? I'm excited to see how he responds to the challenge, like you mentioned. And, I'm sure it'll be a fun time watching him battle it out with Tom Brady.
And real quick before we answer this question, I don't know if you saw it or not, but on the mic'd up or whatever from the Saints game, the Patriots posted the sights and sounds from the game or whatever. And they showed one quick clip of Mac going over to the offensive line and say, "Hey, let's calm down. We can't get it all back at once. Let's just do our jobs consistently. Let's just do our job." And that's the mantra around the Patriots. Obviously, do your job, but it's good to see the kid have confidence. Go over to his offensive line, who's clearly struggling, and say, "Hey, we're good. Let's just continue to do our jobs, and things are going to turn around. It's going to get better. Just let's do what we need to do, and we're going to have success. We're going to be a lot better." So that's good to see. This is a huge game for him, like I talked about a little bit before. If he has success this game and he looks composed and looks like the moment's not too big, I think that is a huge sign I think that's such a good sign for us as Patriots fans that this kid, if we haven't had enough signs already, this is going to be an even bigger sign that this kid is going to be the future and he's going to be great. Big moments like this is what make or break players. Playoff games, Super Bowls, pressure, all this stuff. If this kid can handle the pressure and perform well, throw out all the storylines and just focus on playing good football and doing his job, doing everything right, making the right reads and saying, "Hey, this is what I got to focus on. All this noise doesn't matter. Let's just another game. Let's do this." So I think that's going to be huge, seeing how he does this game and seeing how composed he stays. But I think it's a good question. Is this the best offense that Bill has had to face? Or if not, who is the best?
This one's tough. I think that it's up there. I think that if it's not number 1, it's top 3 at least. Just because you're never going to find a quarterback that's as experienced, as acclimated, that knows your system like Tom Brady is. You don't find many quarterbacks that play 20 years in an organization and go and play at a high level at the age of 44, and you're playing them in a primetime game. So for that reason, I give them the edge. I think the other offense that I can think of right off the top of my head that was very, very tough for New England was Kansas City 2018 AFC Championship game. And what happened there, our defense didn't really slow them down after halftime. We limited them until halftime, and then they kind of had that offensive explosion. But our offense kind of won us that game, right? Outscoring them, keeping us in the game, multiple third down conversions from Gronk and Edelman, and then we win in overtime. So I wouldn't say that this is the most explosive offense because I think that Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce pose a lot different, and Patrick Mahomes for that reason, pose a lot different threat than what Brady, Brown, Gronk and them do. But I think that this is going to be one of the hardest ones just because of how they know you and how they're going to play you. This is going to be dang tough, man. This is like playing your own scout team. They know you. Like you're going up against your teammates every day in practice. Brady's played against the majority of these guys every day in practice. He knows their tendencies. I bet you that JC Jackson thinks he knows himself. Tom Brady probably knows him better. He played him in scout team. He's played him on the defensive side when they've been doing crossover drills. So this is going to be very tough, and it poses a different challenge than I think any defense has ever had to face in NFL history.
I gotta say, I think this is probably the best offense that Bill's ever had to face. I mean, if it's not, like, it's got to be second. But compared to that Chiefs offense, I think they pose different threats. But they have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I mean, two of the top players of their position. But I mean, the Bucs have, like we talked about, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski. Granted, he's not as good as Travis Kelce right now, obviously.
Yeah,
but they got a ton of guys on that team with a great offensive line and a guy who's the greatest quarterback of all time at the head of the helm. So I don't see there being a tougher offense to stop than this right now. This has got to be the best that I can think of, at least off the top of my head. This has got to be the best offense that Bill's ever had to face, and it's going to be really, really tough for him to stop. This team isn't as much dink and dunk as Tom was when he was with the Pats. They like to push the ball down the field a little bit more because they got weapons to do it. Brady's like to air it out. He's aired it out a lot more with the Bucs than he ever did with the Patriots. I mean, excluding maybe that 2007 season with Randy Moss and stuff like that. But he's definitely slinging the ball a lot more than he has in the past. And this offense is loaded. So it's going to be really tough to stop. I think this is probably the best that Bill's ever had to try to game plan for and try to stop.
Yeah, it's just posing different threats because Bill's going to sit on the board and he's going to be like, oh, yeah, like this is tough. And then he's going to be like, well, geez, I'm sure Brady knows that. Or even if he doesn't think that, I'm sure Brady knows that. I mean, Brady prepares just as much as Bill does. And I'm convinced Brady could go coach if he wanted to and lead a pretty dang good team because I'm sure he calls the majority of the plays like he did here in New England. He's seen everything. He's been in the league for so long. So, yeah, it just poses different threats, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I agree. Do you want to show those clips that you got?
Oh, yeah. So I was going to pull this one up and talk about how I think New England beats the Bucs. And this is one that happened in the Rams game last week. And it looks to me as if, so we're watching Deshaun Jackson up here, who we all know is a vertical threat. And this is after a short little run. They're hurrying up on the ball. They're pushing pace. And to me, it looks like they're playing just a two-man. So you're going to get the two safeties. So one of them's right here, and then another one's going to drop back who's sitting in the box. To me, it looks like they're playing a little two-man concept, and they actually end up blowing a coverage down at the bottom. So I'll pause it when they blow the coverage. So to me, oh, that is not the clip. I totally clicked on the wrong one. Let me pull this one up. It's right here. Okay, so sorry about that one. I totally just explained the wrong clip, and now everyone's like, what the heck is going on? I don't know why it pulled that one up. I didn't even watch that clip. Okay, so here, this is better. Okay, so here it is. It's a little two-man, right? You're going to get this safety, which is now I'm the rookie last year that's going to drop.
Winfield?
Yeah, Winfield. I knew his dad played in the league. And then you're going to get the other one dropping here. Now, to me, it looks like it's a little two-man. So these two guys should be off of these two. You have this corner up here off of Deshaun Jackson still. And then you have one of these linebackers off the tight end. It should get a little clearer screen here. There we go. And Skipped it. Okay, so you're going to see them line up here. They're going fast. They're getting off. To me, it looks like 43, which is Ross Cockwell. He looks lost. He looks like he's playing his own because he's got to take one of these guys. Okay, yep. you got up here, which is 24 is going to be Carlton Davis. He's up here, man coverage, and then you got the linebacker running with the tight end out, and it looks like this slot corner is taking him out here. So this leaves this guy wide open. But when they're playing 2-man, watch what happens when Deshaun Jackson. I don't know why is it skipping
game
for
pass.
you?
Yeah, game pass is whack sometimes.
Wow, this is bad.
The all 22 because it's brand new and they just brought it in.
Let me just let it roll, okay? So you saw what I'm talking about, but watch Deshaun Jackson at the top of the screen. Double move. He gets
that was dirty.
He gets Winfield to bite and he slips a little. But I think that Nelson Aguilar can take advantage of this, right? If they're going to sit here and play 2-man and he's going to have the ability to make double moves, I like Deshaun Jackson's kind of up there in age. So I like Nelson Aguilar running deep. We just got to hit on these deep shots. Now, this came off of a tempo play where they're going fast. They had a little bit less time to line up. They're pushing it. So I think that that's going to be one key too, is getting up there fast, lining up, making them, get a little confused, maybe miss a coverage or two just by one guy. One guy miss coverage. That's all it takes for a shot. And then I like Nelson Aguilar running free and being able to hit a long ball that we haven't seen hit this year. So that for me is something I'm looking forward to. They've really struggled in man coverage ever since Sean Murphy Bunting went down week 1 with that elbow injury. They've just been lacking some guys. And Richard Sherman, I don't think he's going to play a huge role. Yes, they signed him today.
He said that he'd be silly to think he can play in time for the Pats. He said he needs a week or two to get back into NFL game shape. So I don't think he'll be playing. Jamel Dean also was limited in practice with a knee injury. We'll talk about that more later. But yeah, their secondary, they got a couple guys banged up a little bit, and I think there might be opportunities for us to take advantage, like you just talked about. It's going to be really how much pressure does Mac Jones have on him constantly? Because if he gets time in the pocket, they send a blitz and it's man-to-man coverage with Nelson Aguilar one-on-one with a guy. I feel confident that we can take a shot and maybe hit it with Nelson Aguilar. This Rams offense has more weapons at the wide receiver position. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Deshaun Jackson, all those guys. So they have a little bit more weapons. We like to pass a lot in the underneath game, especially right now, kind of how this offense is running. So it'll be interesting to see how they defend us and if they leave some of those deep shots open. Because right now, teams are just taking away Nelson Aguilar deep and keeping their corners on quick little routes because they know we're trying to get the ball out of Mac's hand quickly. So it'll be interesting to see how they defend him and how much pressure Mac has on him consistently. If this offensive line can hold up, that might open up a couple deep shots for Nelson Aguilar and guys like that.
Yeah, and one thing that the Buccaneers defense has not really done this year well is get a ton of pressure on the quarterback. Now, everyone remembers what they did against Patrick Mahomes, but they're ranked 26 on Pro Football Focus for pressures per snap count. So they're not getting a ton of pressures, relative to the other teams in the league. So yeah, the offensive line has been a struggle, and their defensive line has been struggling getting pressure too. But if you can give Mac a little bit of time, he's gonna hit on those deep routes. He was very good throwing the deep ball in college. He still has it. Like, he didn't just lose it in 1 year. Just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean he can't throw the deep ball. He just hasn't had the opportunity to. He hasn't had a guy streaking down the field wide open like we just saw Deshaun Jackson was. So I'm looking for the offensive line to give him enough time so we can throw those deep balls and hit on one of those, because it looks like their safeties, especially Winfield, is very, very aggressive. He wants to come down. He wants to hit guys. So if we can take advantage of him trying to jump routes on double moves, I'm really looking forward to a Nelson Aguilar breakout game. And we've said that for a while now, but we got to have one come out, especially if we want to pull off an upset in this game.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw Mac hit those all day, every day at Alabama. We know he can hit the deep ball. He throws a great deep ball. That's one of the things that we saw in practices early in like OTAs and training camp, all that stuff. Mac was hitting the deep ball consistently. He throws it well. So we saw in preseason even him hit it a couple times and his guys just dropped it. So we got to give Mac time in the pocket. When we do that, he plays way better. He plays well when he has time, hits his guys consistently, hits the open guy. And as he gets more and more comfortable, he's going to start hitting receivers further down the field when they're open. So It's all about how much time we give Mack and how efficient our run game is, play action, all that stuff. If we can get some linebackers to bite, we might be able to have more success over the middle, throwing it over the linebackers, stuff like that. So it's going to be really heavily dependent on how our running game is and how our pass protection is. So, I mean, it's a big game for the offensive line. They're the key to winning football games for our offense. If the offensive line plays well and our defense plays well, we're going to win a lot of football games. If our offensive line doesn't play well and our defense doesn't play well, especially in key situations, we're going to lose a lot of football games. So it's going to be heavily dependent on the protection that Mac Jones gets. And the more time he has, the better chance we have of hitting a deep ball and making more explosive plays.
For sure. Well, we just got news today. James White injury is not actually there's no timetable to return because he is now out for the year. Sucks to lose a captain like that, a great guy on and off the field. But how do we replace this James White injury? This is kind of a big loss for the passing attack.
You don't. I mean, that's kind of the bottom line. You can't replace a guy like James White. His role that he has with his team, his ability to know where he's supposed to be at all times, know every play. No, he knows everything about this offense. He's the veteran of this offense. So, I mean, you really can't replace a guy like James White 1-for-1. So it's going to be tough. There are some guys in free agency that I threw up on my story a couple days ago. There's a couple guys that might be worth taking a look at, but we don't have a ton of cap space. So it's going to have to be for cheap, and they're going to take some time to step up, to get used to this offense and know different things like that, blitz pickups, all that different stuff. There's a lot to this offense. So it's going to be tough. Vermondre Stevenson and JJ Taylor are going to have to step up in a big way, because Damian Harris cannot put the entire running game and passing game, blitz pickup, all that stuff on his shoulders, or he's going to get hurt and we're going to be in an even worse situation. So a lot of guys, everybody needs to contribute. They need to split the tasks evenly. They all need to be able to do multiple different things, blitz pickup, running game, passing game, all that stuff. They got to be they got to be very versatile. We need to split time between these backs so that nobody else gets hurt, and maybe adding a piece to the practice squad, getting them up to speed, and then eventually to the active roster. That might be something that they look to do. But it's just, I mean, Brandon Bolden being in the game in the fourth quarter, that's nothing against Brandon Bolden, but that's not really what I want to see. I know he's a vet as well, and blitz pick up, all that stuff. He's probably the best out of those guys, but in the running game, in the passing game, that's not it. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to replace this. I think James White's kind of an irreplaceable guy at this point, and I hope this isn't the last we see of him in New England. It very well might be. If it is, it's been a heck of a career with the Patriots and so many big time moments. He stepped up in so many big ways, and he's such a great guy to have in a locker room and on the football field as a part of this team, interviews, all that stuff. James White is, I mean, he's a top tier human being. He's such a great dude. So I hope it's not the last we've seen of him in a Patriots uniform, but if it is, it's been great having him as a Patriot. He's one of my all-time favorite guys.
Yeah, for sure. Someone that I was super interested in when I read the news that they were actively shopping for a trade was Marlon Mack. Now, I don't know the asking price, so I don't think
my
that
concern as well.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're going to ask for him. I mean, they have Jonathan Taylor, so I don't think they can be super greedy. And if they both agreed on a trade, I don't know the asking price is going to be super high. But
They also have Naheem Hines too.
Yeah. And in 2019, he's 1,000-yard rusher, and he has experience catching the ball. He's not known for his pass catching like James White. But I think that if you bring in a guy like Marlon Mack who can catch the ball better than Damian Harris, at least, not saying that Damian Harris can't catch it, but just someone that's more effective and has the experience. I mean, he's been in the league for 4 years in Indianapolis. He's carried the ball over 500 times through those 4 years. He's been 1,000-yard rusher before. I think that can really help Damian Harris, like we just mentioned, is taking some of that load off. Even if he gets 10 carries a game and we give Damian Harris 20, that's 30 carries a game for the offense, and then we can get him involved in the pass game. I would be interested to see, and I think New England should at least inquire about what his trade asking price is. And if it's a couple picks that we got for Sony Michel, because he is only on a 1-year contract, Marlon Mack. It's like $2 to $4 million. I don't know the exact price. But so if James White does want to come back, or if they just want to part ways with him after the offseason, it's high risk, low reward, or low risk, high reward. type of thing. He comes in, the least he does is he takes reps off of Damian Harris, and then we get rid of him at the end of the year. So for me, that's someone that as soon as, and you put it on your story, as soon as I saw that trade request or, mutual thing come through, I was excited about that one. Thought that would be something.
Yeah, that's one guy that I'd love to have here in New England. That'd be great. My concern is the asking price and his cap hit, because we have like $3 million. That's not a lot of money. I don't know if Gilmore's still going to want a raise, but we basically don't have much money to use. We're going to have to sign guys if we sign anybody for really, really cheap deals. And I don't know. I think if we trade for Marlon Mack, that's going to be the last move we can make of any really kind, unless we move around contracts later in the future. So I don't know. I'd love to have him. I think that'd be a great fit. I think he'd be a good fit in this offense. What he can do, he's a versatile player. He can, like you said, great in the run game, great in the pass game as well. So I think he'd be the best scheme fit for that James White role. And then it's just about how quickly he can get caught up and contribute. So I would love that. My only concern is asking price. I don't want to give up too much. And with our cap situation, I don't know what his cap hit is, but I don't know how realistic that is. I would hope that they at least inquire about it and see what they're asking and put a bid out there, see if they can trade for him for a late round pick or something like that, somewhere around what we traded Sony for. Hopefully not as much, just because we got value for Sony. And if we were going to just trade him and then trade for another running back, we could have just kept Sony, and he knows the offense already and has had experience. So yeah, that's one guy that I think would be a great fit in this offense.
Yeah, shoot low, see what they say, see what they counter with, or what's the worst they can say. So other injury news here. Trent Brown expected to play. He was back at practice. And then Rob Gronkowski took a shot to the ribs. He came back to the game against the Rams. So we expect him to play also. But what are some of the other injury reports that you're looking at and ones that might be have big impacts in this game?
Yeah, so obviously James White, he was on the injury report, did not participate. Trent Brown, still with that calf injury. He was trending towards playing this past weekend against the Saints, and he didn't play. If he's not ready to go this weekend, I don't know what to think, because he's been practicing he practiced the end of week 2 all last week, and he's practicing this week as well. So this is going to be like 2.5 weeks by game time that he's been practicing. There's no reason he shouldn't be playing. If he's that hurt, he shouldn't be practicing. So I expect him to play. That's going to be huge for us to have. Offensive tackle Isaiah Wynn, limited with a knee injury. That's not something you love to see. Isaiah Wynn has struggled with injuries in the past. Hopefully it's just something minor and they just had to list it. Josh Uche, back injury. He was limited. He was out this week with that back injury that he popped up on the injury report Friday with it. Hopefully that's nothing serious, because he's going to be a guy that we need in there getting pressure on Brady on third down and in those situations when he's trying to get the ball out quick. Josh Uche is extremely explosive, puts pressure on the quarterback. So he's a guy we need to have. So hopefully he's all right. Henry Anderson, ankle injury. He was limited. I don't know how serious that is. If he's practicing, I assume he'll be good to go. And then Kyle Van Noy, groin injury. He was limited. He finished the game last week, so I assume he's good. Juwan Bentley, shoulder, limited. He didn't finish the game. They took him out late in that game in the second half because he had that shoulder injury. And then Nick Folk, left knee. I assume he'll be good to go, but we'll see about that. So nothing, just 8 injuries for us. Couple big name guys, but I don't see anything serious. I don't see any of them missing the game, hopefully. But that's our injury report. And then for the Bucs, Giovanni Bernard, he did not participate with a knee injury. Gronk did not participate, ribs. Jason Pierre-Paul, shoulder, did not participate. And then Jadon Mickens, how do you pronounce his first name? Abdomen, he was limited. And then Jamel Dean, corner, knee, he was limited. So Giovanni Bernard and Jason Pierre-Paul, I don't expect to play. Gronk, I expect to play. And then the 2 limited guys, Mickens and Dean, I both expect to play, but we'll see how their participation varies the rest of the week.
Yeah, and the other big one here is N'Keal Harry has the possibility of playing, coming off of his injury that he sustained. Would be a little bit of a boost to the receiving core, I think. See what he has all about. He had a promising training camp, and we'll see if he can continue that. But that's something that I'm looking forward to see if he can suit up and give us a little bit more depth at that receiver position. And you always know that he's going to come in and give you his all in run blocking. So, I know that sucks to say for a first round receiver that he's going to come in and be a good run blocker, but he does add some value. We just want to see him add more value. So it's good to see that he's back at practice and has a possibility of being active.
I don't see how much consistent value he'll provide in the passing game right off the bat.
Yeah.
But I do think, like you said, in the run game, he'll be used a little bit in the pass game. And I think he's a guy in the red zone that can help. I mean, he's a big target. We've had a lot of red zone struggles, and having a big target like him in the red zone who's a bigger guy and can jump up and loves those 50-50 balls. I think he's a guy that could help out our red zone issues a little bit. Nothing major. He's not a Rob Gronkowski or Randy Moss in the red zone, anything like that, obviously. But I think he's a bigger target in the red zone that could kind of help solve our red zone issues just a little bit. If we got N'Keal Harry, those two tight ends, Nelson Aguilar or Jacoby Kendrick Bourne, one of those guys mixed in with N'Keal Harry. I mean, that seems like a pretty solid red zone offense. You got plenty of weapons there. It's just about executing, giving Mack time and letting him sling it into the end zone. And we'll see what happens. But I do think getting N'Keal Harry back is a boost for sure. I'm glad he's hopefully going to be back. He's practicing today, so they got 21 days to activate him. But yeah, I think that'll be a solid boost to our hopefully red zone production and stuff like that. Real quick, while we're kind of on the topic of injuries and free agency and all that stuff, what do you think about the Jamie Collins news of him being released from the Lions? We kind of touched on it last week and said, hey, probably not realistic with his trade, with the trade, just because of his contract. The Patriots were not going to trade for that contract. Didn't make any sense. We didn't have the money to do it. But what do you think now that he is released from the Lions?
Yeah, now it makes 100% sense, because where else is he going to go that he feels like he has a better chance to contribute right away, to fit in with the system, to come and play under coaches that you know well, players that you know well? I think it makes a ton of sense now, both scheme fit and for him personally, if he wants to get back. And, he came over here once he was released from the Browns or once they were done with him, and he comes back and he makes a name for himself and he goes and chases the money. So for him, it would make a ton of sense to come here. And I'm not saying no to adding another great linebacker in our room. He's a little different than other guys. He's very athletic. He can run with tight ends and cover and do some good things. And he could come in. He knows the system. He could come in and contribute a little bit right away. I don't know how much they would give him, how much reign they'd give him and say, just play 70 snaps a game for us, but he will come in and he would do some things. So I'd be very open to that possibility of him returning.
I agree. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't be interested. His contract is going to be paid for by the Lions, so he can prioritize familiarity and fit and where he wants to go. He plays his best football here. I don't see why he wouldn't want to come back here, especially with Dante Hightower not being his greatest self so far, first 3 games. Juwan Bentley, a little bit of an injury. They had to put in a guy they just signed the day before the game. They had to play him a decent amount of minutes late in that game. So if we could just add depth at that linebacker position, another guy who knows the defense, and we know he has a great role here when he's here and he plays well, I don't see why we wouldn't sign him. I think it's a great fit. If we can sign him for cheap, add him to the team, I don't know why we wouldn't do that, and I don't know why he wouldn't want to do that. I don't really see any other place where he says, hey, this is a perfect fit. I know I can do good here, because he hasn't played well anywhere but the Patriots. So I think he should want to come here. I think we should want to sign him. I think it's a perfect fit. I think it just makes too much sense. I don't see us not at least checking in and seeing if he wants to come back, because I think it makes a lot of sense for both sides. So we'll see what happens on that front, but I would love to see that.
Yeah, give his phone a ring and see what he's interested in. So yeah, we see reunions with New England, old players coming back, and Bill making, getting the most out of them. So yeah, I'm very down. But let's get into our prop bet. So every pregame show that we do, we get into bets for the players that we have playing either on the Patriots or against, and what their lines are set, and we do the over-under. So let's just start off simple stuff here. Mac Jones, over or under 262.5 yards.
What you got? You go first.
Okay, I'm going to go over here. I've hit the under, I think, the last 2 weeks, and I think I've been wrong, and they keep proving me wrong that they're not willing to stick with the run game, man. I don't know anything, and Trent Brown coming back will be a huge boost to the run game. So this could be, me just overthinking it and biting my butt, but they're not very consistent in staying with the run game. So I'm going to go over here. I think Mac Jones is going to get it. He's got a hit. He at least attempted some deep balls. I think he's going to hit one this week. I showed the clip of Deshaun Jackson, Nelson Aguilar. Hopefully can get open down. And quite frankly, I think he needs to throw for 262 or more yards for us to have a chance in this game, or else we're going to have to rush for 300. So I'm going over.
I'm going to go over as well. He had 270 last week, 186 against the Jets, and 281 against Miami. So teams that are good against the run, it's going to force us to throw the football. Tampa is great against the run. The Saints were great against the run. He put up 270 yards passing, and that was one of the worst offensive performances, team performances as a whole that I've seen in a long time. So I think if we're not going to be able to run the football, what else is he going to do besides pass? He's going to have to pass. So I got him going on the over for that one, for the 270 yards on that one. But let's go to Tom Brady. Over under 305.5 passing yards.
Over here too. Their run game hasn't been very impressive lately. To start the season off, their passing game is so threatening that's how they kind of get a lot of their rushing yards, is their teams are favoring more of the pass than the run. They're like, okay, well, we kind of want you to run it, which is kind of opposite of what most teams want, right? Like, I would much rather have Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones running it than Brady throwing it to Gronk or Brown and stuff. So I'm going to hit over here, and the circumstances are just too good, right? No Stephon Gilmore. He's coming back. He's returning. He's got all those weapons. AB coming off the COVID list. Yeah, I'm going over here too.
Yeah, he threw 432 yards against a Rams defense that's extremely talented, and that was without Antonio Brown and without Gronk for half the game.
Yep.
I got him going over as well. Over 305, his return to Foxborough. He might not have to throw the ball that much if they get a big lead, but I think he's going to want to throw the football and make a statement here and say, hey, you guys shouldn't have let me go. So I got him going over on that one. How about max touchdowns? 1.5.
Geez, this is tough. I don't think the run game is going to be very effective, and I want to see McDaniels give him more opportunities to score in the red zone. I think that's been a lot of our struggles in the red zone and not being able to punch in touchdowns, is we've kind of gone conservative. We had Brandon Bolden carry it 2 times in the red zone last week. We stalled down there after a great drive. So I'm going to go over here. I got to believe that I really do think that he's very mature for his age and for a rookie quarterback. The moment's not going to be too big for him. He's living for this. He wants this game as much as everyone else. He wants to prove that he belongs, and coming off of a 3 interception game, 1 touchdown game, he's hearing it all. He's motivated. So yeah.
I have to go under. I'm heavily rooting for the over. I'd love to see it, but he's thrown 2 touchdowns in 3 games so far. I don't see why he's going to throw 2 in this game. I hope he does. I hope the red zone offense starts clicking, but I don't know. We've just had extreme struggles so far in the red zone, and I haven't seen them. He hasn't been allowed, whether he's allowed or he hasn't thrown the route, but he has not thrown 1 ball into the end zone. His 2 passing touchdowns was one that hit Nelson Aguilar 5 yards short and he ran it in. And then Kendrick Bourne last week kind of mossed that guy, tippy-toed in and put the ball across the line. So I don't know. They've been really hesitant to have him throw the football in the red zone, which I'm not sure why, but they have. So I'm going to go under on this one just because what we've seen so far. I hope he proves me wrong, because I would absolutely love to see him throw 3, 4, 5 touchdowns in the red zone. That would be awesome. And that would obviously that'd boost our confidence of this football team in general, just to skyrocket it. That's a big problem we've had. So that would be great to see a solution there. We'll go to Tom Brady, over under 2.5 touchdowns.
Over. I mean, they've been getting all their life's too short to bet the under, guys. Don't bet the under, okay? Bet the over. Life's too short to bet the under. But no, over too, like we outlined, like too many weapons in the passing game. Brian Leftwich, Bruce Arians, they're all guys that want to air out the ball. Brady doesn't want to come in to this game and hand the ball off 40 times, even if it's working. Like, they're going to get him some throws, and against the secondary that I haven't seen playing their best football, except for when Zach Wilson kind of threw us 4 passes like we were in green jerseys, just like they were. That I haven't really seen too many, bright spot. I haven't seen bad things from the secondary, but I haven't seen like the Patriots secondary that we've known and, has shut teams down. So I'm going to take Brady over 2.5 touchdowns here. He's coming in. This is his time.
I'm going to go over as well. Revenge game. He had 4 touchdowns against the Cowboys, 5 against the Falcons, 1 last week, but that Rams defense is elite, and he was missing some weapons. So I fully expect him to go over on this one. We'll go Jonnu Smith over under 26.5 yards. It should be over under 26.5 drops, but we'll go 26.5 yards.
Over 26.5 drops. No. Gosh, 26.5 just seems so low for me. And I don't think that New England lost all faith in him. Like they know they need Jonnu Smith in here. I think he's still going to get the targets, and he's just not known for dropping his passes. And he was as critical on himself as people were after the game. He knows, like, that was a horrible game. So I'm going 5 for 5 here on the overs. 26.5. That's like, that could be one route for Jonnu Smith, right? One catch and run, make a guy miss in man coverage and run for 26 yards. So I'm going to go over here.
I'm going to go over as well. I mean, I think he had 42 yards week 1, 28 week 2, 4 yards against the Saints. Yikes. If he would have caught 2 of those passes, he would have been at like 50 yards. So
yeah,
I think he's going to want to have a bounce back game. One thing I have seen about this Buccaneers defense is they haven't been great against tight ends. We got 2 tight ends who are really solid. They haven't been playing phenomenal yet, but this is a big game for them to get things together and kind of build some chemistry and get some confidence going. Because I mean, this Bucs defense is good, but one thing they have struggled with, they've allowed like the 4th most yards per game to tight ends so far. And I mean, they faced the Cowboys, Falcons, and Rams. So I mean, a couple decent tight ends there, Gerald Everett and then Kyle Pitts, obviously. But yeah, so I think Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry are better than most of the guys they faced so far, and I don't see why these guys can't have success. So I'm going to go over the 26.5 yards for Jonnu Smith.
Yep.
And then Rob Gronkowski over under 43.5 yards.
Over. He's going to get the targets, right? Like every game he's gotten targets. He started out with 2 touchdowns week 1 and week 2, 4 total. Like I could either see this going one of 2 ways. He catches 1 pass for a touchdown and very little yards because it was like a goal line throw, or he goes over 50, goes over 43.5 in this case, over 50, and has a couple classic Gronk catches down the middle. If we're going to be stuck in man coverage, I already said this, but I don't know if I trust a linebacker that's going to be physical or fast enough to run with him. And I don't know, I sure as heck don't trust Adrian Phillips, just size mismatch alone. Like Adrian Phillips is a dang good player, but if Brady sees Adrian Phillips line up on Gronk one-on-one, he's going to lick his chops at that. So
absolutely.
I just don't know if there's a true player, and this is how it is for most teams in the league, that can actually guard Gronk. He's a true mismatch. And the Patriots are going to be creative. They might double him at times, but not consistently. There's too many other weapons on the field to just focus on Gronk, especially if you got Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown just lighting you up, and then Gronk comes alive in the second half. So, yeah, I'm going over here too.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron was just talking about the other day that he got a couple offers from the Cowboys and the Seahawks to play tight end in the NFL. Maybe we can sign him and have him guard Gronk. He's got the size to do it, the speed, athleticism. You know what I mean? Yeah. Adrian Phillips, he kind of got dominated, unfortunately, against Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert during joint practices. So I don't think one-on-one with Gronk is a great idea. Just the size mismatch there is just unfair. I don't really know who we'll put on him. He's a huge guy. He's a mismatch in general. Probably going to have to put a couple guys on him, but I don't know if we can, just because we got to put a couple. You'd like to put 2 guys on Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, and Rob Gronkowski, but you can't do that unless you want to rush one person. And you know what I mean? Yeah. Brady's going to run.
Drop 10?
Yeah, drop 10, rush 1. But yeah, I got to go over on this one as well. I just think Gronk wants to have success. Brady wants him to do good this game, and he's just a mismatch. And especially for our defense, I don't see anybody with the size to stop Gronk one-on-one.
Yep.
We'll go Jacoby Myers, 64.5 yards.
All right, I think this is where I end my streak of overs and go unders. Jacoby Myers, very, very consistent, but it's tough, man. I think Kendrick Bourne had a very good game. We're going to have to spread the ball out a lot. I think Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, like we're going to have to get these guys the ball. And I thought we did a good job of it. It just wasn't consistent enough in the Saints game. I mean, you had 2 guys go over 90 reception yards. That's pretty dang good. So I was happy with how that turned out, but I don't know. I don't see him going over it again. I see him kind of slowing down and maybe trying to get some other guys involved. And if you're the Buccaneers, are you more worried about Jacoby Myers at this point or one of the other receivers we have? I think that a lot of teams know Jacoby Myers is kind of like the sure-handed Julian Edelman type go-to guy. And so for me, that would be the one person that the Buccaneers would try to limit the most other than Nelson Aguilar blowing the top off the defense. But I feel like they're going to be kind of weary of Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think it will be the under, but I'm going to go over. We've had too many that we've said the same thing, so we got to mix it up for the standings here a little bit. So I'm going to go over. Be hopeful that you'll have more success. 44 yards week 1, 38 week 2, 94 week 3. So hopefully he has more success again, like he did in week 3, and continues to be that sure-handed receiver for Mack. He's been catching everything. I mean, Mack has thrown a couple low balls to him, and Jacoby's went down and got it. He's been great. He's been their most reliable receiver. So I'm going to look for him to continue to have success, even though 64.5 is a little bit high, but I'm going to go over and be hopeful on this one.
Cool.
Damian Harris rushing yards over under 46.5.
Gosh, I want this to be over so bad. And I just feel like that this is kind of the same spot we talked about Alvin Kamara was in last week. Is New England knows they can't give Damian Harris 6 touches. They got to give him more than 6 touches. And even with his 6 touches, I felt like he was decently effective on the ground. Now, if Trent Brown comes back, I think that's going to help his yards per carry. That's going to help him get a little bit more open holes at the line of scrimmage. So I'm going to go over here too, but I'm just not too confident because I think that the strength of this defense is their front 7. Their linebackers fly downhill. They can run sideline to sideline. They can track him down. So just for the fact that Trent Brown's coming back, I'm going to go over because I feel confident that the New England's going to try to get their running game back on track.
I hope he goes over. Trent Brown being back is huge for that.
Yep.
This offensive line has been so poor so far at running the football and pass protection. This defensive line is great at stopping the run. Their linebackers, they get some really talented guys.
Yep.
I don't think we're going to have a lot of success running the football, so I'm going to go under for Damian Harris. I hope it's over because if he goes over 50 yards rushing, that's not a lot of yards rushing, but that means we've had some success running the football. I don't think he's going to only have 6 carries again. That was kind of an anomaly, but I don't know. I'd like to see it before I bet on it at all.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go under on this one. And then last one, the over under Patriots versus Bucs, over under 49 points.
Over. I mean, the Bucs are averaging 34 points a game, and that was, they got held to 24 last week against the Rams, who's a great defense. They had a ton week 1 against the Cowboys, obviously in that shootout, and then week 2 they put up a ton too. So I'm gonna go over here. Brady's gonna come in. He's gonna be revengeful, and then I think that the Patriots play pretty good too. We highlighted some things where maybe the Patriots can't keep up with the Bucs offensively and score like possession for possession. But I think that the Patriots are going to put up some points. I think that they're going to come back. Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick are going to have a game plan that they're not just going to come in and willingly accept like a blowout. Like they're going to give it their all. They're going to have a good game plan. Mac Jones is going to come out, try to recover. So I'm looking for a bounce back game. I feel like 49 is very, very low for this, especially with the Buccaneers averaging 34 points a game and them going against a defense who has kind of struggled at times. So yeah, I'm going to go over.
Every game the Patriots play, I almost want to go under just because how they play. But my score prediction, I have it over 49 points, so I'm going to go over as well. I think the Bucs are going to have their fair share of success scoring points, and I hope we have our fair share as well. Hopefully, we can keep it close and go over there for the 49 points. Bucs are just so talented on offense; they can do so many different things.
Yeah,
having AB back is going to be big for them as well. Giovanni Bernard is a bit of a loss for them, but the way this game is going to be played, I don't think it's going to be that much of a loss because they use Giovanni Bernard when they're down. You know what I mean? Or when it's a tight game, they use him late in the game, stuff like that. On that last drive against the Cowboys, like situations like that. But I don't think the Bucs are going to be behind late in the game to where they're having to put in a passing back and stuff like that. They'll probably be running the football late in the game. So I got over 49 points for that one. And then, so this is our first game pick. We'll do the Pats Bucs, and then, so how do you want to do this for like keeping track and stuff? Like we kind of talked about, and we'll do the scoreboard and stuff. Do you want to do pick the outright winner and then the spread and keep track of both? Or do you want to just do the spread, pick the winner, and just keep track of that for standings?
I think we should just pick the spread and the winner. So it's one thing. It makes it a little more challenging, right?
Yeah, with the spread, trying to pick the winner. Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go. I mean, my score prediction, I have Tampa Bay covering this. I mean, I don't see it being this close of a game with the struggles New England's offense has had. I think New England's going to put up points, but I don't think it's going to be this close. And maybe we do get if it's within 7 points, maybe it's because we score a late touchdown or something. And I don't think that we're going to have a chance to be within striking distance late in the game. If we're down by 7 with like 8 minutes left, I'd be ecstatic. I just don't know if that's going to be the case consistently. I just don't think we can push the ball down the field like Brady and the Bucs can. So I have the Bucs covering this, winning by more than 7, and you'll see in my score prediction coming up here.
No faith. That's unbelievable. Absolutely no faith.
I already know you're hitting the. I mean, you're picking.
Come on, yeah, unbelievable. I can't believe you have absolutely no faith in the Patriots against the Bucs in this game. So yeah, with that said, I'm taking the Bucs -7 as well. I don't know. This Patriots team hasn't proven it to me yet. We haven't played one full game. We haven't played one complete full game well in all 3 phases. And in order to beat the Bucs, you got to play all 3 phases just damn near perfect. So I haven't seen it yet. And until I see it, I'm gonna take the Bucs -7 points. I don't think we're gonna be within that range. I hope we are, because that's gonna give me a lot of confidence in this football team. But I can't pick it till I see it. So I'm gonna have to go with the Bucs on that one, and then we'll get to our score predictions.
Yep. So for my score prediction, I have 38-27. Cole has 34-20 right here. So Cole's 14-point win. Geez, you have less faith than I do. Come on, I only have it at 11.
Yeah, but you got the Bucs scoring 38. I got us holding them to 34.
Okay, yeah, you're right. We both. Yeah. No, I mean, you're right at their season average at 34. I'm a little bit over, and if the Patriots put up 27 points, depending on how they put it up, it would be the most of the season. I'd probably be a little ecstatic and excited that they put that much up against, a defense that was great last year, a little bit of struggles this year. But yeah, I can't pick New England being within striking distance or within 7 until I've seen it. Even against the Jets, not a very consistent game, struggles there. Against the Saints, who was a freaking good defense, we saw everything that we had there, everything that went wrong. And then against the Dolphins, who's another very good defense, we struggled. So it's the cons of having a rookie quarterback in there. You just kind of feel blah about your offense, but it could be worse. We could feel blah and have, who was it? Justin Fields get sacked 9 times, right? Which felt like Mac Jones could have gotten sacked 9 times, but he didn't. Or he could be Trevor Lawrence throwing interceptions, Zach Wilson throwing interceptions. So we're definitely in the best spot for a rookie quarterback, but it's just how it is. It's just blah. And I just don't think that you can put Mac Jones up, even though he's playing the best out of any rookie quarterback against Tom Brady.
Yeah, I went 34-20. If we can't put up 27 points against the Jets defense, I don't see us doing it against the Bucs. I hope we do. And I do think the amount of knowledge Mac has from before game 2 to before game 4 is going to be a decent amount. You know what I mean? He's played 3 games now opposed to 1 game. So I do think he's going to be better. I think this offense is going to be better, more consistency. Getting Trent Brown back, that's huge. And then if he has more time for these weapons to get open and for these different routes to develop, I think we're going to perform offensively, hopefully better than we did against the Jets. We had a lot of opportunities against the Jets and only scored 25, 26 points, something like that. So I don't think we're going to have as many opportunities to score, but I expect us to hopefully capitalize on those more than we did against the Jets. But we can't put up that many points against the Jets, getting 4 turnovers. I don't see us putting up that many against the Bucs yet. It's just, like I said, haven't seen it yet. They got to prove it to me before I start picking them to put up 30 points a game. It's just, I think they're capable of that late in the season, but the chemistry is not there yet, and the offensive line is not there yet. So until they fix those things, I don't see them scoring 30 points in a game or 27, all that stuff. But if the offensive line significantly improves and fixes the things that they've messed up the first 3 weeks, I don't see why that can't happen. I think there's a lot of things that went wrong with that offensive line that in 1 week, seeing them fix that is tough for me. So I got us only scoring 20, And I got the Bucs scoring 34 just because they're the Bucs. They got a ton of talent. It's probably going to happen. Hopefully, we don't turn the ball over at all. But if we do, that's just another opportunity for them to score. And so, yeah, it's kind of a sad game picks edition for us with the Pats Bucs, but got to be realistic here, and we're both taking the Bucs -7 and 34-20 me, the Bucs for me, and then Jace 38-27. So we'll move on to the 1:00 hour game. Jaguars at the Bengals.
So this is a Thursday night game, right? This is tomorrow.
Oh yeah, night. Thursday. Yeah. Tomorrow night's game, Jaguars Bengals.
Yeah. I'm gonna go. So picking against the spread, I'm gonna go Bengals here covering. Jaguars just have not looked good, and the Bengals come off a big win against the Steelers. Steelers looking like the poo-poo of that division now, which is kind of funny, right? But they come off a big win there. It's going to be in Cincinnati. Bengals fans haven't been at the top of their had a chance to cheer for a team that's at the top of the division for a while now. So Joe Burrow's back playing good. Jamar Chase touchdown in 3 straight games. Defense is one of the top ranked in the NFL, surprisingly, but I'm going to go with the Bengals covering this spread.
I mean, I'm starting to get worried we're going to pick the same exact things every game. We're going to have the same record. I'm going with the Bengals as well, -7. We got the same thought process in this one. Bengals coming off a great win. They're looking really good. Jags are looking really bad. Simple as that. -7 Thursday Night Football at the Bengals. Home game for them. I got the Bengals in this one, -7.
Don't you just love these awesome Thursday night games? They're so fun.
Yeah, Jags Bengals, top tier of the NFL right there on Thursday night. But we'll move on to the 1:00 hour. Panthers at Cowboys. Cowboys -4.5. I think this could be a good one.
This is going to be a very good one. I think that the Cowboys looked very, very good, but the Panthers have also looked good. And without Christian McCaffrey, that's a big hit. And this will be a big test for Sam Darnold to see how he fares. Dallas looked very good in the secondary against the Eagles. Jalen Hurts did not look very good, but I'm going to go here. I don't know if this is an upset because I guess we'll find out what you think, but I'm going to go Panthers covering here. I think that it's going to be a tough one. I really like Matt Rule. Yeah, is it different?
Yes.
There we go. So I really like Matt Rule, Joe Brady, their style of offense. Sam Darnold's playing some good football. DJ Moore's a very good receiver, very consistent receiver. So I like it. I like the Panthers covering this right here.
I got the Cowboys -4. I think the hit that losing Christian McCaffrey is going to be to this offense. We saw it last week. Once McCaffrey was out, this offense struggled for a while against the Texans defense. That's not very good. So I think both teams have looked really good so far, but I just think with the Panthers losing Christian McCaffrey and JC Horn, that's 2 solid contributors to their team. Obviously, McCaffrey is a huge contributor to their team, and a lot of what they want to do on offense is built around him. But I'm going to go with the Cowboys -4. Just they've been playing really, really good football, and I mean Dak's been incredible. They smacked the Eagles. They made the Eagles look horrible. This Cowboys defense has been performing really well so far. I don't know how long it's going to hold up because we haven't seen that defense be great for a long time. In the recent history, at least, they've struggled a lot. But I'm going to take the Cowboys at -4 over the Panthers. I do think it's going to be a good game, though.
Yeah.
This one's also going to be a great game. Cardinals at Ram, the 4:05 p.m. hour. Rams -4.5.
Yeah, this one's tough. I want to say the Rams just because of what they did and how they handled Tampa Bay. But this is the weird interconference game, right? Like Arizona, LA, both 3-0. Who's a true 3-0? A lot of people saying the Cardinals don't deserve to be 3-0. I think they do. I believe in Kyler Murray. I'm going Cardinals just so we can be different. But
let's go.
I don't feel comfortable. This is probably the one I don't feel comfortable in, but I'm going to go with Arizona right here. I really do have confidence in Kyler Murray. DeAndre Hopkins had a horrible game last week. Like very few yards, I think like under 30 or something. So I'll have him bouncing back. It'll be a good matchup between him and Jalen Ramsey. But I have faith. I have faith in Kyler Murray. I really do.
I'm gonna go with the Rams on this one. This Cardinals offense has looked really good so far for the most part. If there's one defense that can slow them down and stop Kyler Murray, it's Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, all those guys. They got a really talented defense that just shut down the Bucs offense for the most part. That's one of the best offenses in the NFL. Plus, this is at the Rams Stadium, at home, division game. You got to win those home games, especially when it's against your division rival opponents. This entire division is stacked. So I think these home games are going to be huge. So that's why I'm going to take the Rams -4. It could be close, though. I mean, it could be a field goal game. So I don't feel great about it either, but I'm going to go with the Rams on this one. And this one, where we don't have on here, we're not going to count, but I would like to hear your thoughts on Seahawks Niners because they're playing as well at the same time.
Oh, where's it at?
Niners.
It's in Oh, yeah. Sorry, you said that. Oh, that one's tough. I thought that the Niners did not look very good to start off the game, and then they finished it off. Obviously, it still ended up losing, but they kind of come back and stuff. I love Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think that he's the answer. I really don't. He led them to a Super Bowl, and then he kind of costed them a Super Bowl in some people's minds and stuff. So I don't think he's the answer. The defense is very good, but the Seahawks lose to the Vikings last week, which probably shouldn't have happened. Look for them to have a bounce back week, especially if they're having that mentality. They can go into Levi Stadium and still one of these, interconference games and then win another one. That will give them a huge advantage. So I'd probably go with the Seahawks on that one.
I think it's going to be a great game, and I like your point there too, especially Seahawks 1-2, bouncing off a couple tough losses, losing to the Titans in overtime when you had a lead there. That's tough. Losing to the Vikings when you feel like you shouldn't have. It was on the road, but that's tough as well. But I'm going to take the Niners in this one. I haven't felt great about what the Seahawks have been doing recently. Haven't been playing great football, and their defense, I mean, it is Derrick Henry and the Titans offense, but they struggled against the Vikings as well a little bit. I am a little concerned about how the 49ers secondary is going to hold up against the Seahawks weapons that they have, but I think it's going to be a great game. But I'm going to go with the Niners. Just home game for them in the division, big game. If they can beat the Seahawks, put the Seahawks to 1-3, and then they'd be 3-1. That's big, especially when you're trying to compete with the top two teams who are both 3-0 right now. One of those teams is going to lose, and you're going to be tied for second in the division. Big game. I think it's going to be close. We got a few really, really good games this week, but I'm going to go with the Niners on that one. But we'll move on back on to this one. 4:25 hour Ravens at Broncos. Broncos -1.
I'm going to go with the Ravens here. I think the Broncos have played good, but the teams they have played are not very good. They played both New York teams, and then the other one doesn't have a good record. I think I'm spacing who it was. Was it Jacksonville? I don't
played.
So they played the Jets.
Saints.
Oh yeah, no, it was the Giants, the Jaguars, and the Jets.
I clicked on the Panthers. What am I thinking?
Yeah, so Giants, Jaguars, Jets, right? So what? One win between those teams and the Giants, or do the Giants even have a win?
No,
I thought they got one. Maybe I'm tripping.
Giants beat. No, they haven't beat anybody. 0-3.
Yeah, so I mean, they're
0-9. Their opponents are.
Yeah, their opponents are 0-9. So, and I think the Ravens, huge win, obviously, a couple weeks ago against the Chiefs. They have a good defense. They are very good. Lamar Jackson can create with his legs. So this would be a big game. But when the line's only set at 1, you're pretty much just picking a winner, right? You're picking who do you think's going to win. And I'm going with the Ravens here.
This is a really tough one for me. Yikes. I agree. The Broncos didn't look great against the Jaguars, who struggled so far. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I don't know. I wanted to go with the Broncos, but they haven't proved against good enough competition to where I really consider them great. Ravens haven't been great this year either, though. That's kind of what my concern was with them. They lost to a Raiders team who is playing well. They're 3-0, but they lost to the Raiders. They did beat the Chiefs, and then they almost lost to the Lions last week. But the Lions have put up fights against a couple decent teams. They were with the Packers right there until a 4th down conversion that they failed to get. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I think it could be a good game, though. I'm interested to see how this Broncos defense holds up. They are missing Bradley Chubb, I believe, but
yeah,
they have a great defense, and they might be one defense that can limit Lamar Jackson a little bit and what that offense wants to do. So I am going to go with the Ravens, but I wanted to pick the Broncos, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. We'll go to the Monday night game, the last one we have here. Raiders at Chargers. Chargers -3.
Yeah, Raiders are playing good. Derek Carr's playing out of his mind. What it comes down to for me, though, is I think that both Justin Herbert and Kyler Murray are MVP candidates already. And I had Justin Herbert winning MVP on my podcast, our preseason predictions. But I'm going to go with Justin Herbert here. I have faith in him. Mike Williams is going crazy. Austin Eckler's good. Derwin James is good on them. They obviously have Joey Bosa. So I think the Raiders are playing really good football. But I'm going to have to go with I don't think the Raiders are like actually that good. And maybe I'm wrong because they've beaten some good teams and they've played tough games and they've been resilient. Derek Carr's probably having an MVP campaign early too, but I just don't believe in them as much as I believe in the Chargers. Obviously, the Chargers coming off of a win against the Chiefs also, which was impressive. So I'm going LA right here.
See, this is another tough one for me. I'm going to go Chargers as well. But both teams have been really impressive. Chargers lost to the Cowboys in a close game on a field goal. Cowboys have been playing really well, though. It's so hard to tell 3 games into a season what these teams are because you see the opponents they've played, and you don't necessarily know how each of those opponents are. When you're late in the season, you can say, okay, the Cowboys are 8-0, and they lost by 3 to the Cowboys. That looks like a much different game than if the Cowboys end up losing the next 5 games and they're 3-5. You know what I mean? So we don't really know how these teams are yet, but I'm gonna go with the Chargers. Just it's at home. I think it is gonna be a tough game. Both teams are playing really well, but they've both had a couple games. Like Chargers barely beat Washington, who hasn't been playing great. Lost to the Cowboys, and then they did beat the Chiefs, and that's a big one. But Chiefs haven't been playing great either. And then the Raiders, you look at their schedule, they almost lost to the Dolphins last year without Tua. That's not great. I mean, Derek Carr threw a pick 6 early, and then after that, he was kind of lights out. He looked really good. They also beat the Steelers, who have looked kind of like garbage, and they beat the Ravens. So I don't know. This might be a little bit based off last week, and just the Chargers played so well and beat a Chiefs team, and the Raiders didn't play that great and barely beat a Dolphins team in overtime that didn't have Tua. So that's why I'm going to go with the Chargers, and it's at home. But I think this is going to be another great game. We got a lot of great games this week.
Yeah,
a lot of really
good week.
A lot of really good games. So we picked a lot of similar ones there, but I mean, over 17 games, they'll spread out a little bit, and we'll pick different ones. But yeah, a lot of really good games to pick this week, and we're going to be doing this every week, picking different games, picking the spreads of those games, and then betting on or picking different over-unders for the Patriots game that week and doing score predictions, all that stuff. So we're gonna start keeping track of this, and we'll have a little score chart for you guys so you can keep track of how we're doing, and you guys can leave in the comments what you guys think of each game and drop your score predictions, whatever you want. But yeah, I mean, big game coming up, Sunday Night Football. We've been waiting for this forever, ever since it was announced. Tom Brady's going to break the NFL passing record unless we hold him to under 68 yards, which I don't see happening. But what do you think his reception is going to be at Gillette? Like, this is something I'm really curious about, how he's going to be. I've already seen a lot of half Bucs, half Patriots jerseys, and like from fans, and I don't like that at all. But what do you think his reception is going to be, not only off the bat, but during the game, and then if they're going to do anything for him breaking the record?
Yeah, I hope that they treat him right. Like you could say Gillette's the house that Brady built. I mean, Bill built it too. Brady built it too. I don't think that we would be where we are without Brady or Bill. So I hope that they're welcoming to him. I know Robert Kraft loves him, and Belichick has surprisingly had some, high praise for him this week and kind of gone back on some things that he said initially. So I hope that he comes in and he feels like this is his home, because that's the last thing we want to do as Patriots fans is, like, he plays 3 or 4 years in Tampa Bay and, maybe he wins another Super Bowl, but he doesn't feel like the 20 years here were good just because of how it ended. Like, I just want him to welcome him. I want us to be supportive. He's got to have a soft spot in here, and I hope we do something special, a little video for him and Gronk. We do something if he breaks the record, I guess when he breaks the record, right? But the one thing that will really, will really drive me nuts, she says, a tongue twister, is if he gets booed. And I don't think that he gets booed. But if there are some, fans out there that do want to boo him at the game, I'll kind of have a hard time with that. It's just like, it sucks. I understand his circumstances, but we can't boo this guy. He gave us everything in the Patriots organization. So I just hope that's the one thing is however else it's handled, just hope that he's not booed.
So are you talking about during the game or like before the game?
So I would hope that he does something before the game. I think it's kind of hard to do something during the game. Obviously, when he breaks the record,
like booing like during the game.
Oh, booing.
Like you mean booing like when he walks out or like during the game?
Yes, when he walks out, right?
Okay,
like
all right.
And for me, it's a little different. Like if he were to throw a touchdown and Gronk spikes it and Pats fans boo him, I think it's a little playful in that sense. Like, right, like you just scored, Gronk spiking it, he's rubbing it in our face. Like he said it on the podcast too. He's like, I expect Patriots fans, they're some of the best fans that I've been around, to cheer for the Patriots. He goes, there's going to be some that are there cheering for us. There's going to be some there cheering for the Patriots. He's like, I don't expect them to want me to win because they're still Patriots fans. So I don't know. I hope that there's no booing when he's running out. Maybe there's a little playful jabs during the game, but yeah.
I see. I hold a pretty similar stance to you there. I differ a little bit in so I want to see him get honored before the game. When he runs out for the first time and they announce him, standing ovation, everything. Give him his flowers. Do a video for him. Maybe even Gronk, I guess. I just during the game, as soon as that whistle blows, he's just another quarterback on the opposing team, and that's how I hope our fans treat him. Because I mean, if you're a Patriots fan, regardless of what he's done, outside of a game, you praise Tom Brady for everything he's done and thank him for everything he's done for the organization and what he's brought us, all the happiness and all the memories he's brought us. But as soon as that whistle blows, you're a Patriots fan, you root for the Patriots. Doesn't matter who's on the other side of that football. I mean, we've played against former players, Amendola, Hogan, all that stuff. We've played against a bunch of former players, and you're not rooting for them to have success against our team, especially Tom Brady at the helm, quarterback position. That's a huge position. I don't care what occurs during the game. Once that whistle blows, anything's fair game. You boo him, you say whatever. I mean, nothing overly disrespectful, but like, you know what I mean? You'd boo him like any other quarterback, like Tua, when he makes a play, you boo him or whatever. You know what I mean? I understand. I want him to get his praise. I want something like when he breaks a record. That's a phenomenal achievement that he basically achieved with us. I mean, he's had 1 year with the Bucs. So 99% of that achievement he had here with us. So I hope they stop the game real quick and give him the certificate, do whatever, honor him real quick, whatever they need to do. And then as soon as that whistle blows and it's game time again, boom. I don't care. That's my stance on it a little bit. I would hate to see this turn into a home game for Brady where he chose for this not to be his home anymore. He chose to move his home to Tampa Bay and go play for the Bucs. He doesn't want to play for us anymore, whether he was pushed out, whether he wasn't, whatever it is. He chose, hey, this isn't my home stadium anymore. My home stadium is down in Tampa Bay. So I don't think any other stadium should be a home stadium for him. I understand this was his home for so many years, but he chose to go elsewhere. So in my opinion, we're playing the Bucs. I'm rooting for the Patriots. I'm rooting for Tom Brady to throw 67 interceptions against us. That's what I want. Fans to boo, whatever they need to do. As soon as that whistle blows, that's fair game. But before, after, all that stuff, I understand. Give him his praise. He deserves it. Nobody's been better for this team. Nobody's done more for this team. So I understand all that. But I would hate to see fans, if I hear fans cheering during the game when he throws a touchdown or throws like a big play to Gronk or to Mike Evans, AB, whatever, that's going to upset me a little bit. I don't want Gillette Stadium to turn into Tom Brady Stadium. And okay, are we Pats fans or are we Tom Brady fans? I know we're both, but when it comes to Pats versus Tom, you got to pick a side. And I hope most Pats fans are on the Pats side.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't want to hear fans cheering because we want the Patriots to win, but I'm just I don't know how I feel about the full boos. Like
if it was me personally at the game, I wouldn't boo him.
Yeah, like if he makes a great throw, just be quiet, right? Just damn, that sucks.
Yeah. But I'm not a big, like when I went to the Dolphins game, I don't think I The only person I booed was the referees when they kept making crappy calls. That was it. I didn't boo the Dolphins players or anything like that. So I wouldn't, if I was at the game, I wouldn't be booing Brady, but I don't have a problem with whatever fans want to do. If whatever you do to a normal opposing quarterback and a normal opposing team, I want him to get that same treatment once the whistle blows.
Yep. I agree. So, well, I'm excited. I think it's going to be an emotional game, especially people that are going to that game are lucky. That's going to be a once in a lifetime experience in a lot of sports. You know, Michael Jordan goes back to Chicago. That's something you don't see a lot of guys that spend 20 years and then go back. Peyton Manning going back to Indianapolis. You know, there's occasions that it happens, but it's not very often. So I'm excited to see it. I still hope that all of our score predictions are false and the Patriots offense and stuff proves us wrong and gives us a little bit hope for the rest of the year. But I'm excited.
There's nothing I'd like to see more than that.
Yep.
that right there. But I mean, absolutely historic game. This is huge. I mean, it's going to be so fun to watch. Hopefully the outcome is favorable for us, or at least encouraging for us. You know what I mean? But I mean, this is must-see TV. There's no bigger regular season game than this right here. This is probably the only game we'll ever see Brady play at this Gillette Stadium as not a New England Patriot. You know what I mean? Unless the Super Bowl is hosted here or something. You know what I mean? We play the Bucs every 4 years. So unless the Super Bowl gets hosted here in the next few years, or Brady plays another 4 years after this, this is probably the only time we'll ever see him at Gillette Stadium again. This is huge. Mack in his rookie year. The storylines are incredible. I hope the team shows up for the moment. I hope it's not too big for the kid. I hope we all perform well, and I'm looking forward to this game. It's going to be so fun to watch. But anything else before we head out?
Nope. I wish it was Sunday. Don't want to watch Thursday night football tomorrow, but
oh, Jags Bengals! I can't wait.
Oh, it's that's
must-see TV.
Oh, it's so exciting! Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we'll wrap it up here. If you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Really helps out the channel. Like the videos, comment, send it to your friends, whatever you want to do. We appreciate you guys watching and dropping in, commenting your thoughts and questions, all that stuff. We love interacting with all the fans, and that's it for tonight. Go Pats on Sunday, and until then, we'll see you guys Sunday night after the game.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.